The February morning tea talk is on PACOP and the star ratings.
Good morning, Janelle.
Yes, good morning, Nat.
Good morning, everyone from sunny Perth.
Yes, and I'm coming to you from Wollongong. And Nat and I have been doing a bit of a dive into the star ratings because we know it's going to be really on the radar of aged care homes, and we wanted to understand it as well. We're in no way experts in the star ratings, but we wanted to get a solid understanding to see how they fit with what we did in PACOP. And that's the thing we're experts in PACOP. So today we're just going to share how they intersect and how PACOP might support the star ratings for aged care homes. So let's get started, shall we?
Sounds like a good idea.
All right, are you seeing my next slide?
Beautiful.
Lovely. So I just want to do an acknowledgement of country. So I'm coming to you from Dharawal country and the land of the Dharawal and Wadi people here in Wollongong. We at PACOP here like to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge any First Nations people present today or watching this in the near future. So the star ratings. Here's what we learned when we were thinking about the star ratings.
So officially started, I think, Janelle, December last year?
Yeah, or late last year. Yeah, it became sort of official, and this is going to be ongoing. And there's a lot of information out there, but I would stick to the government information.
So I was having a look on the My Aged Care website this morning, and they said December last year. So I assume a lot of work's been going along all last year to allocate the star rating for each home.
Yeah, and they've done their first allocation of the star rating homes, and I can only imagine it's a huge effort, especially for the aged care homes, to provide the evidence. So we acknowledge the hard work that you're already doing with the mandatory quality indicators and the aged care quality, all those, and the aged care quality standards, all those mandatory reporting things. This is going to be another reporting thing that you're going to have to do. So acknowledge that it's going to be a body of work for you. So we're hoping that today we can show you ways that, you know, information you collect as being part of PACOP can support that in some way. So here's what we learned about the star ratings on our little deep dive. And we got all of our information from the Department of Health and Aged Care website. So what we learned is the star ratings come as part of the reform, out of the Royal Commission into aged care, and it's a way to reform quality and safety in aged care. But what we saw and found is these following points. It's, I guess, about choice at the end of the day, giving consumers, residents, people entering aged care homes a choice to compare the quality of care that they might receive at aged care homes. Much like, I guess, the healthy heart tick used to be on food.
Or like a star rating in a hotel.
Yeah, it's like a star rating in a hotel. So,
except, of course, these are allocated through the official Department of Health channel.
And there's, national criteria rather than...
That's right. Rather than TripAdvisor, which we should probably all be thankful for.
Exactly. Yeah, we're grateful that we're going to have a national standardized approach, and there's strict criteria that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later. And again, because it's that national approach, it gives consistency, doesn't it? It's instead of... Yeah,
I think that's the aim of it. I think the aim of it is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. And this actually aligns really nicely with PACOP because our program is national and we have a national standardized framework. So that will ensure consistency in care through our model for whatever aged care home is delivering it, regardless of whether they're remote or rural or in a city. They're all providing the same consistent model of care. So that really aligns nicely. It ensures high quality care. So rather than giving stars for average care, they give stars for good and excellent care. Of course, there are stars for average care as well, but their stars increase with the quality of care. And that's what else the PACOP program does. because our model is based on evidence-based assessments, they're really high quality care rather than average care. And the other thing is transparency. So reporting on this and having it out in the open means that anyone can access it, and it's not hidden. And people are willing to go, well, here's how we are, and we're going to work. Even if you score an average star rating, you say, well, here's where we're at, but we're going to work on improving it. So you can only improve what you know. And if you don't know, you can't improve it. There are 4 subcategories in the star ratings we've learnt, and we're going to have a little bit more of a look at those now. But they're on the government website. We found, didn't we, lots of webinars, and there's a provider manual as well to really dig through what the stars will mean for your aged care home.
So we need to just stress that PACOP is in no way aligned or connected in any way with the star ratings. We have no insider information. Our program wasn't designed together with this or anything like that. But what we are finding out is that PACOP will actually help you to improve your star ratings just through our PACOP program and system, which is we're going to talk about more now.
Yeah, and on top of that, we really, if there's something important going on for the aged care homes we're working with, it's important to us to get our head around how our program can help. So that's why we're doing today. All right, so there's 4 subcategories in the star ratings, and these subcategories are what the government uses to allocate
the rating,
the final rating, if you like.
Yeah.
And so these percentages you see, so the 4 categories are resident experience, and that's information gathered through interviews with residents. Compliance is related to the aged care quality standards. Staffing is worked out through the care minutes data, so that's related to the new ANAC model of funding, and they gather that through quarterly reports. And then, of course, there's the mandatory quality indicators, the quality measures, and there's the traditional 5, which most in aged care will be extraordinarily familiar with, but there's now expanded data collection on 6 extra items. We're going to, they're listed down the bottom here, but we'll look a bit more at them later. But the proportions here that you see are how they're weighted when it comes to, and you'll see they all add up to 100%. So that's how they'll gradually come up with the final score. There will be 4 reporting periods for homes, and it's every 3 months, and that nicely aligns with what PACOP does. Our profile assessment, which is routine standardized assessment of every resident, is done every 3 months. So that aligns nicely with that. But let's look a little bit more about how the stars work. So what do your stars mean? Do you want to talk to this one?
Sure. So I'm by no means an expert on this, but this is what we have discovered from the publicly available information. You probably are all fairly across this already, but every aged care home will be allocated a star rating, and the star ratings can go between 1 and 5 stars. Obviously, 5 stars is the best possible rating you can get, and the category for that is excellent, as per the government information, Department of Health information. 4 stars are good, 3 is acceptable, 2 is improvement needed, and 1 star significant improvement needed. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, and pretty clear. The stars are going to be, from the previous slide, they're going to be rated by a combination of those 4 categories, which a percentage rating weighted contributing to the rating, as Janelle put up with the percentages like 30-something% for resident and all those things. And once they are rated, they get published on the My Aged Care website. This goes back to that transparency that they're trying to achieve with this star rating, so that it comes down to consumer choice. And consumer choice, they need to be able to choose and to know what the ratings are based on, so that then they can make an informed choice when they choose their aged care home.
Yeah. And
go Janelle.
I was just going to say, and what you can see here, these are the first ratings they got at the end of 2022. And I guess the positive part of me says, wow, almost a third of homes are rated either good or excellent. So that's good news.
And I think that bottom line is 1% got 5 stars.
Yeah, 1% of the homes
Got
that were reported on got
5. So it goes from the top 1, 2, 3, 4, and down the bottom it says 1 star. That means 5 stars because I accidentally typed the wrong thing.
Oh, yes, that's true. I
Yes.
should have said.
But still, that is an excellent result, really, for the first round of star rating allocation.
Yeah, well,
or assessment. Yeah.
Reporting according to them. And it does sort of say almost there's 59% of homes that were ratings. That's almost 2/3, if you like, were acceptable. And, you know, some people could see that as a bad thing, but if you know where you're sitting, you can work to improve it.
Well, actually, Janelle, another way of looking at it is that 90% of homes were acceptable or above. So it was really only 10% that fell into those 1 and 2 star categories. So that is encouraging in itself.
That's amazing. And given that we have, you know, several thousand aged care homes in Australia. So like we're always saying at PACOP, you can't fix what you don't know. So being aware of where you sit gives you a knowledge of the areas you need to work on. So you get better from here. So when they calculate these stars, this looks all very complicated, but I tell you what, I'm just going to highlight a few things. So here's the 4 categories: compliance, quality measures, resident experience, and staffing. They're those subcategories that they calculate. And it's all very complex, but they give a weighting to the score of these categories. And the thing I wanted to highlight here is that they really place a high importance on the resident experience. And you know, here's something, and we'll talk about this a little bit down the track, that PACOP can really contribute to. So in the next few slides, we'll unpack what PACOP can do there. This line about data maturity, really, data maturity is just about how publicly available a home's data is to people. Is it accessible? Is it available publicly? Can it be shared? And can it be linked to data elsewhere? So that's the score of data maturity. And you can see the highest rating there is for compliance. So that's how homes are complying to the aged care quality standards. So that should be easily accessible to anyone to look at, as well as the resident experience is highly rated there as well, how publicly available your resident experience information is. And then you can see there, we already mentioned the 2 weightings. The 2 highest weightings, again, are resident experience and compliance with the aged care quality standards. So they're good to know when it comes to considering your star ratings and the calculation that you finally get. So here's the bit where we're experts because we understand PACOP, and we wanted to sort of highlight ways that PACOP might work to help aged care homes with their star ratings. And this, in particular, we're focusing on the 4 subcategories. So let's have a look. So the one category we want to look at first is resident experience. And whilst PACOP doesn't directly ask residents, what's your experience with your aged care home? Is it good or excellent? What PACOP does is within its, so what you're looking at there is our model of care with both the profile and the outcomes collection. So what PACOP does is we've introduced a resident reported,
a resident rated assessment tool.
Yes,
so
symptom stress tool. And what's great about this tool is the first of its kind in aged care to really stop and ask residents what's important to them. What's important to you? What is bothering you? What is distressing you? What is worrying you? It asks about 7 different symptoms, but also it has an other category where they can tell you things that are really bothering them. And again, as I said, isn't this right, Nat? If you know what's bothering someone, you can work to fix it. That's right. And I mean, our symptom assessment tool that Janelle is talking about is arguably our most important tool in our suite of assessment tools, because it really is the chance for us as providers and clinicians to find out what's actually important to the resident. And that is the most important thing of all. And I think the value of it can't be underrated. Both, of course, we're talking from a palliative care perspective,
and being able to get the most holistic assessment of the resident as possible, so that we can then, make sure we adapt the plan of care to cover everything that we can possibly find out. And this tool just gives us an insight into what is going on to residents, and what they lie awake at night worrying about, what they worry about doing. This is their chance to tell us, and this feeds directly into resident experience of care. But this is just, of course, in relation, because we are a palliative program, so we are interested in this tool collects for us distress about symptoms, common symptoms, but also, as Janelle said, it has experience of other. So although it's not going to help you in all ways with your resident experience, it's certainly going to help you in a lot of ways.
And, and if you think about the SAS really being, if you're measuring these symptoms and what's really bothering residents, and you're doing things to fix it, that leads to improved quality of life, which then could therefore lead to improved experience for residents living in aged care. And we're so dedicated to this tool. It's incorporated in all of our tools.
And it starts from admission. So it really goes across their whole experience. It will go across their whole experience of living in that aged care facility or aged care home. And
when a resident develops palliative care needs, they move into the outcomes collection, and they're asked on a daily basis, tell us what's bothering you, what's upsetting you, what's worrying you, and you can work towards fixing it. In fact, we've asked, this is a resident brochure that we use, where we say your symptoms are important to us. Tell us what you're feeling, what you're worried about, what you're distressed about. And they rate it on a scale. And this is our tool that we use here, the symptom assessment scale. We call it getting sassy because it's the SAS assessment with assessment in aged care. But I guess the way I see it, monitoring SAS means monitoring things to improve quality of life. And if we can offer residents an improved quality of life based on the symptoms and things that are worrying them, then they can have an improved experience. So that could all be linked together. And
as part of the PACOP program, the SAS will become part of your standard policy and procedures. So what you're introducing into your whole care of your organisation is like a patient, like a PROM. It's a patient reported outcome measure, which is like resident rated, of course, same. But by incorporating that into your policies, it's going to go throughout your whole system of care. So you're introducing a rating for quality of life according to the resident right from day dot, and it's going to be in your policies and processes, which is going to help you on every level. Of course, most importantly, it's going to help the resident, but it's going to help you with your star ratings, and it's also going to help you with your accreditation and all that type of thing, because it becomes part of your standard processes and systems.
Yeah. All right, the next thing is compliance. And of course, we all know the aged care quality standards well. You've been working towards them, but the key things here that PACOP does for the aged care quality, there's a lot of words there, but mainly it's about these quality standards. The PACOP program will help you provide quality clinical care. It's a whole evidence-based model of care from the beginning of admission and right to the point where they die.
Yeah, I mean, it is a quality improvement program.
The very nature of what PACOP does is to improve the quality of your care. So care is measured. Your results from care are reported back to homes every 6 months so that you can work on continuous quality improvement. The ongoing assessment and care planning is integrated into everything you do in our program. So PACOP really does, and it's fully mapped to the aged care quality standards, our model. So just by participating, you're ticking a lot of those quality standard boxes. Palliative Care Australia has introduced the National Palliative Care Standards for aged care services and other health professionals, all health professionals. They're not a mandatory requirement, but we also took the time, because we are called the Palliative Aged Care Outcomes Program, we took the time to map to these. And again, all of these things are highlighted. Your staff are empowered and really trained up with PACOP. It's a quality improvement program, so it's embedded into your routine care. Quality improvement is embedded as you go. It really informs transfer of care. There's a shared language around palliative care that we use, that specialist palliative care services and doctors use. And also it really helps build those comprehensive care plans, and which is a real benefit to residents by guiding the care that they want and need, which is nice. So that's another area of compliance. With the PACOP and staffing, when it comes to star ratings, PACOP uses that whole of
Workforce approach.
Yeah. And so we involve RNs and ENs, but also the care staff are heavily involved because they're the ones that actually do a lot of the care with the residents on a daily basis. So we also have a program for them to help them monitor the SAS on a daily basis with residents while they're having a conversation, while they're doing routine care activities. And staff have said to us that the PACOP program really empowers them to be an advocate for the resident and their families, actually. And that's the other thing about our program, is that it does involve families and carers in our assessments and really brings them into the care that a resident is receiving. And it's
which will feed directly into resident experience.
Exactly, because if the family's happy, then the resident's happy, and vice versa. If the resident's happy, the family and carers.
And like someone going into an aged care home is a massive thing for the whole family, of course for the person, but for the whole family. So
it's a huge adjustment that people have to make for the residents and carers. So it's nice for them to be included and involved throughout the process of our model. And also what's really nice here is that staff, if PACOP is a national program that's going to be rolled out across Australia, it won't matter. It will reduce, I think, if you build confident staff, it reduces turnover because staff feel prepared and ready to deliver the care that they know is going to benefit the resident.
And it helps lead to that national standardization of care.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what the star ratings are really trying to achieve. So they really do all feed into each other. And the whole purpose of all of these programs, of course, is for the improvement of care and better outcomes for residents.
Exactly.
So they do all work together.
Exactly. And it won't matter if staff do move on. For example, when they go to an aged care home that's using PACOP, they will know, they can start their job and just dive straight in because they'll know the program, they'll know the standardized model of care, and they can start delivering care straight away. So it's a real booster for confidence, and it supports staff. With the mandatory quality indicators, I'm sure, again, you would be very familiar with the 5 that we've been working under, but there are some coming in April, an additional 6 categories. But I just wanted to talk briefly about how PACOP sort of can help in a way through the standardized assessments with this extra 6. So activities of daily living, the PACOP assessments have the RUG ADL, which speaks directly to the last 4 hierarchical activities of daily living, and that's regularly and routinely assessed. So you'll be able to see how people are declining if they are in that area. And
the Karnofsky will also contribute to being able to pick up on performance, declining performance, which contributes, of course, has a knock-on effect, obviously, to ADLs.
Yeah, and so this is about having this information available. So the PACOP assessment tools and reports will help you have this.
Yeah. So we're measuring it anyway. So
exactly.
You don't have to do all these things twice. We're trying to show you how they can all interlock.
Yeah, and you'll have access to this clinical information that you collect as part of our assessment tools. The homes will have access. Now, whilst we don't directly measure incontinence care, we certainly in the SAS, if incontinence is bothering residents, it will be picked up in the SAS as one of those symptoms in the other category. And you can, so that what they're recording is actually dermatitis. So if that is really distressing to a resident, dermatitis related to incontinence, they'll be telling staff about it, and staff can be asking and then putting in things in place to prevent it or improve it. So that's where we can demonstrate that there, if it's recorded in notes, along with our tools.
Hospitalisation, we ask that directly. So, as part of our profile collection, we ask, has there been any either ED presentations,
Yeah.
unplanned hospital admissions, or planned hospital admissions. That data is, you know, we've built that into our routine 3-monthly assessment form. So that information has already been collected and will already be there for you to use, for you to supply for your star ratings. You won't have to do that again. You're collecting it already.
Yeah. And, you know, with workforce and the staff, they're measuring the proportion of staff turnover, because I guess they're trying to build confidence in the workforce and empower them so that they don't feel like, oh, this is too hard and I'm going to leave. And they're wanting to retain. And what we've seen in the start of our program is that it really has built up the confidence in the workforce when they've got a model of care to work towards and work with. So, you know, the PACOP profile and outcomes collections, having the go-to tools at the designated times has really helped build confidence in staff. And we've seen them say to us, oh, this has validated my gut feeling about the resident. And so it's really been an empowering thing for the staff to date. And we look forward to watching that progress as well as it becomes more widespread nationally. The consumer experience, we've talked about that and how the SAS contributes to both consumer experience and quality of life. And they're looking at measuring, is it a good or excellent consumer experience, or is it a good or excellent, does the resident have good or excellent quality of life? And I really feel like asking residents about things that are bothering them and upsetting them in a formalized way, in a routine protocol, in repeated ways, will help improve quality of life, because you really are asking them what's worrying and bothering them. And
you're starting that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, you're giving them permission to tell you because you're asking them, and that will lead on to them being able to tell you, you know, about other things, which of course is going to help.
Because, you know, the people often, I know my mother, she's 95, she's very stoic and doesn't like to bother people with what's bothering her. But if you use a proper form and say to residents, your symptoms are actually really important to us, we want to know, and have that conversation with them, can really get them to open up about what's bothering them. And so I guess at the end of the day, with the quality indicators, our program, profile and outcomes collection, and the protocol for when the assessments are completed, really does work together to contextualize the quality indicators, and also contributes to monitoring care outcomes, because we've got our reporting system that, and the data that you collect, and I hate saying the word data, but it is good, useful clinical information that we report back to homes that you can use to put towards these star ratings.
I mean, data is not a dirty word. Data is what's going to help you improve care, both from a clinical care point of view. It's going to help you meet your star ratings. It's going to help you meet accreditation. It's going to help you with your ANAC. Data is throughout every aspect of residential aged care, and the information you need to provide. So the more access to, you have no choice in any event through all of that regulatory bodies, but data for quality clinical care is imperative so that you can improve and continue to improve. Because
you can't fix what you don't know. And so I guess in summary then, we should wind up because it's nearly time. The PACOP model of care, from when the resident starts in care, using the profile assessments and the outcomes assessments when they enter into the outcomes program, right up until the time they die, you will receive the PACOP reports, which are looking at the care outcomes, help you to know what you're doing well, what you're not doing so well, and help you to work on areas to fix them. But within those assessment tools is that SAS, the symptom assessment scale that we use to really look at what's bothering residents in a routine way right throughout our program. And at the end of the day, we have a sticker for our aged care homes, which I think is our own, I guess, star rating for an aged care home. And along with the stars, I think there will come a time when aged care homes are going to go, or actually not aged care homes, residents and people thinking about going into an aged care home, we'd like to think that one day they'll be looking for our sticker as a way to know that they're going to be receiving quality evidence-based care. Their care is going to be monitored in a standardized way, and their home is constantly doing quality improvement on that 6 monthly cycle with the PACOP reports.
Just like they'll be looking for the star rating, we hope they'll be looking to make sure they participate in PACOP. Because if it was any of us or our mums or our dads, we would want to make sure they were going to be receiving excellent care.
Yeah, I think so too. I just have a little quick plug for next month's Morning Tea Talk. We're going to talk about the profile clinical assessment and how it's standardising nationally that routine holistic assessment that's done in aged care. Some call it resident of the day, some call it the 3 monthly comprehensive assessment, whatever your aged care home
plan review.
Yeah, care plan review, whatever your aged care home calls it. PACOP has worked along with other aged care homes to standardise that, and we're doing it nationally. So we're going to do a deep dive into the profile clinical assessment next month. Some references for today. We encourage you to go to the Department of Health and Aged Care, the website, to look for, there's plenty of videos for the star ratings that you can watch, webinars, there's the manual, and also there's the aged care quality standards and the palliative care standards references there. That's a big thanks from myself and from Nat for your time. Are there any, I'm not sure if there any questions have come through. Because
there was one which was about our typo, but thanks for pointing that out. But I don't think there's been any others.
Okay, well, I realise that is time for us. Thank you for everyone who came along today. We're grateful, and we hope to see you for the March Morning Tea Talk. And we hope it's been helpful. Please email us any questions if you think about it afterwards. Thank you. Bye. Okay. Bye.